It's playoff time, and everyone here at Southside Dodge Rebels this week couldn't be more excited for the postseason. And it's a great show we've got to help set you up for the playoffs. Highlights from the last two games of the regular season versus the Edmonton Oil Kings. We've got comments from the players, some highlights from the year-end awards. Mooner and Wally are here. So let's waste no more time. Let's get right into it. The Rebels wrapped up their regular season with a home-and-home series, which started Friday night at the NMAX Centrium versus the Edmonton Oil Kings. Patrick Bartasak looks sharp early as he turns aside Luke Bertolucci, then makes a nice stop on the rebound. Now watch this play as Griffin Reinhart shoots wide of the net, creating a scoring chance for Edmonton. St. Croix hits the crossbar. Griffin will try that again a little bit later on. Rebels working along the blue line before Hayden Fleury winds and fires. Easy save though for Laurent Brossoit. Jordan DePape, playing in his first game, tries to jam the puck home but can't. Curtis Lazar and Dylan Ruck set up a wonderful scoring chance for the Oil Kings, but Patrick bars the door once again with a tremendous save. Brandon Underwood tries a shot off the end boards, and it almost works as Joel Hamilton gets a great chance. Rebels on the power play. Brooks Maxwell from a sharp angle, and look who scores on the rebound. Jordan DePape scores his first WHL goal since November 9th. Quite a moment for the 20-year-old who's worked incredibly hard to get back in the lineup. 1-0 Rebels. Henrik Samuelsson pays a heavy price after dumping the puck in as he gets cranked by Cody Teal. DePape mixing it up physically as he gives Mitch Mraz a hard time. Rebels get a great chance to go up 2-0, but Elson is foiled by a great save from Brossoit. Dylan Ruck has all kinds of time to pick his spot with his shot, but that spot ends up being Bartasak's glove. Yet another superb stop. Connor Bleakley with a turnover near his own net. Bartasak bails him out with a stop on Bertolucci. Elson steals the puck in the Edmonton zone, then hits Brossoit on the arm with his shot. The Oil Kings even it up with a power play goal of their own. Henrik Samuelsson takes full advantage of a great pass from St. Croix. That's his 33rd goal of the season, 1-1 through 40. Mraz finds himself all alone near the Rebels' net, but Bartasak holds the fort. Edmonton takes a 2-1 lead in the third as Reinhart shoots wide of the net again. Puck bounces off the boards, off Bartasak's leg, then crosses the goal line. We saw Reinhart do it earlier, and this time it works to perfection. Brooks Maxwell cuts in and comes close to regaining the lead for the Rebels. He is denied by Brossoit, but does draw a penalty. Matthew Dumba fires. Brossoit makes the save, then has Dominic Volek wondering what gives after robbing him on the rebound. Final minute of the third. Volek again denied by Brossoit. Rebound bounces wide. Hayden Fleury shoots from the point, but that's tipped wide. Lazar scores the empty netter just before the final buzzer. The Oil Kings hang on for a 3-1 win.
Just doesn't cut it. It's a 1-1 hockey game in the third, and I thought the third period was probably our worst period of the game. And we just didn't seem to have any push at all in the third. And they got a lucky break on that the winning goal. But that being said, you're not going to win many games scoring one goal. And yet we never created enough in the third. We had a couple of opportunities, but Maxie had that one on the short-handed one. But other than that, we just weren't good enough in the third at this time of the year to think you're going to win a game.
Game data brought to you by 247reddeer.ca. A strong third period by the Oil Kings earned them their conference-leading 50th win of the year. The Rebels resting many of their top players on Saturday night at Rexall Place. Cole Benson opened the scoring 2:50 into the game as he picks up a rebound in traffic, lifts the shot past Pouliot. He made the first two saves before Benson made it 1-0. Rebels reply less than 90 seconds later. Joel Hamilton forces a turnover by Tristan Jerry. Tyson Ness says thank you very much and scores his 19th to make it 1-1. Edmonton broke the game open in the second. Trevor Cheek scores his 32nd of the year with a diving poke past Pouliot. That regains the lead for the home side. Curtis Lazar took home the Oil Kings scoring title in highlight reel fashion with a brilliant end-to-end rush for his 38th, 3-1 Oil Kings. Edgars Kulda fires from long range for a goal Pouliot probably wants to have back. A nice shot regardless. That makes it 4-1. Edmonton gets one more as Mitch Mraz fights off three Rebels defenders and beats Pouliot 5-hole. The Oil Kings sweep the home-and-home series with a 5-1 win. The Oil Kings took full advantage of the Rebels resting their big guns on their way to setting a modern franchise record with their 51st victory. Reese Dino wins the Rebels team scoring title, finishing 2 points ahead of Turner Elson while playing 16 fewer games. Elson did finish with a team-high plus 26 rating. Back-to-back losses to Edmonton prevented the Rebels from reaching the 40-win plateau on the season. The postseason begins this Friday as the Rebels welcome Prince Albert to the NMAX Centrium for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. The first 5,000 fans at Game 1 will get rally towels, and 106.7 The Drive will be on hand in the lobby doing face painting and tattoos before the game. Now, Game 2 of the series follows Saturday. Tickets for both those games are available through Ticketmaster. The Rebels handed out their year-end player awards before Friday's home game versus Edmonton. Rookie of the Year, defenseman Hayden Fleury. The Defenseman of the Year, first-round Minnesota draft pick Matthew Dumba. This year's most underrated player, Devin Fafford. The Humanitarian of the Year for this season, Turner Elson. The captain was also honored by his teammates with this year's Players Award. And to the surprise of no one, the most valuable player for the Red Deer Rebels this season, goaltender Patrick Bartosak. Well, you saw it earlier in the highlights. Jordan DePape finally making his Rebels debut this weekend after being signed at the WHL trade deadline way back on January 10th, and he couldn't be any happier.
I've been working hard for the past few months here since surgery. At first I didn't think I'd get that opportunity, to come back and play in this league, but I was fortunate enough for Red Deer to pick me up, and I think the last couple games have personally gone fairly well. It would have been nice to get the wins, but it's a good start. I just kind of joking around with the guys today saying my body feels like training camp right now. I'm all banged up, just sore, just using those new muscles and stuff, but it's nice to get back out there.
Well, we here at the show are very excited that the Rebels have made the playoffs, and you can be darn sure that the players feel the same way.
A little bit nervous right now. It's a week away, and I already feel the nerves. I haven't had much playoff experience in my minor hockey career, but this is a world's difference, and I think this week of practice is going to be real good for us, getting ready for playoffs.
They're a good team in all aspects. They got a good goalie, good defense, and some good forwards up there. So we just got to play them hard, just play our game, not really worry too much about them, just battle and compete and do all the things that the Red Deer Rebels do.
Well, I feel like everybody's excited and everybody's ready to go, and a lot of guys are inexperienced on our team, but first playoff game is going to be intense, and it always is, and everybody's ready to go for that. And we've been waiting for a long time because we knew we were in a playoff spot a while ago, and now we're here and we're ready to go.
Here's what Rebels associate coach Jeff Truitt has to say heading into the round 1 playoff series versus Prince Albert.
Well, I think with anybody, it doesn't matter who you're really playing, that special teams are going to be, key for sure. And against PA, I think the biggest thing is that we can't go outside of what we've been doing. We want to make sure that we're just stay sharp in the areas that we need to stay sharp at, and making sure that we're doing what we need to do. And this isn't the time of season to be, changing an awful lot. We just want to continue to get better at what we're doing and being a hard team to play against.
Coming up after the break, we go in the corners with Jared Waldo, we go one-on-one with 20-year-old defenseman Brandon Underwood, and we train like a rebel with Jack from 360 Fitness.
Miette a 2-on-1 with Johnson. Miette stops. Over to Johnson.
Hey Red Deer Rebels fans, have we got the show for you? Southside Dodge Rebels This Week is your #1 source for everything Rebels. Highlights, interviews, stats, and exclusive behind-the-scenes features brought to you each and every week by those who have their eye on the Rebels all season long. Southside Dodge Rebels This Week, weeknights on Shaw TV. Welcome back to the show. We found him just in time for the playoffs. Jared Waldo here for a long-awaited installment of In the Corners. And Wally, always an exciting time of year, the regular season done, and everybody really excited about the playoffs.
As they should be. It's a good time of year. It's always exciting when the WHL playoffs roll around, and especially for the Red Deer Rebels right now. We're sitting in 4th place. They get that home ice advantage, which they've wanted all along, and now they got a Prince Albert Raiders team coming in, and it's going to be a good matchup.
As is usually the case with the 4 and 5, but especially I think in this one, because when you look from top to bottom, it really is an even matchup in all 3 areas.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, especially when you look at the forwards, and the Rebels have developed some nice depth this season. They've got some good weapons up front, and the Raiders have that as well. When you have a first rounder for the Chicago Blackhawks like Mark McNeil, and they've got some big weapons up front, and the defense and goaltending is solid as well. So on paper, it matches up really well, and it did throughout the regular season as well.
Yeah, the Rebels did do fairly well against the Prince Albert Raiders throughout the regular season. Just your thoughts on this Rebels team overall and how you feel they're playing as they get ready for this playoff series.
Well, I think it's been tough. I mean, because they've been in a position where they've had a playoff spot nailed down for quite a while, and they, barring any really big mishaps on their own end, it looked as though they were going to finish in that number 4 spot. The biggest question was, who are you going to match up against? And for the longest time, it could have been PA, could have been Medhack, could have been Swift Current. And while that wasn't so much the issue of who they were going to play, it was just getting to that point, especially this past weekend against Edmonton. I mean, you're not going anywhere. You're not going up. You're not going down. You're just trying not to get hurt. That's the biggest thing. So I think, and the guys even said, you try not to look too far ahead, but it's always in the back of your mind that the playoffs are right there. So I think right now they're in a good spot. I mean, they're relatively healthy, and I think they're ready to go on a good run here.
Now, a bit of a challenge perhaps in that the boys, knowing what they accomplished, making the playoffs and getting that number 4 seed that they wanted the entire time, not to be complacent perhaps going into the playoffs now that they're there?
Well, and that's the biggest thing. Like you said, you want to make sure that you are ready and you are in a position that you're going to play well. And going up against PA, I mean, anytime you do get the 4 and 5, it's always an evenly matched team. And there wasn't much separating these two teams. I think the biggest thing is how they take control of these first 2 games. I mean, you are at home. You're going to have the noise of the crowd. Is always, I mean, that can go one of 2 ways. It can really make you nervous or it can really motivate you. And just one of the things that Matt Dumba and Turner Elson were speaking of was just the fact that, a couple of years ago, and they're nervous before a game, and they see their captain go out there and Colin Archer lays a big hit and gets the crowd into it, then drops the mitts, and it really kind of set the tone and let them know, like, okay, we are in a playoff series, though. So, as much as they're worried about getting complacent, I think they really have to go out there and set the tone early, make sure that you can use the home ice advantage to your advantage so that when you go back to PA, you do have a 2-0 cushion, but they do have to take it, as cliche as it sounds, 1 game at a time.
Yeah, I know those players who were here 2 years ago when the Rebels were knocked out in the second round, they do feel as though they have a lot to prove here this time around. Maybe just a quick thought on what else you see here in the Eastern Conference, some intriguing series. Calgary taking on Swift Current is going to be a good one. Saskatoon, rather, against Medicine Hat, and of course Edmonton versus Kootenay.
Well, I think, as far as Edmonton Kootenay, I can't see Kootenay really getting much of a sniff in that series. The Medicine Hat team right now, the way they've been playing, like, they've been up and down all season long, and them against Saskatoon, like Saskatoon, they started slow, as everybody knows, and then really went on a tear there. But I think Medicine Hat is the dark horse here, and Swift Current too. And I'm not trying to discount the Blades or the Calgary Hitmen. I mean, they've had stretches where they've been absolutely brilliant. But they've also had some stretches where they're not looking as though, they're ready to make it to that next step, if you know what I'm saying. I really like Swift Current and Medicine Hat to maybe pull out some upsets here, but, you're not as good as Edmonton and Calgary and Saskatoon are for the majority of this season without playing the way they have been. So it's an interesting first round matchup outside of that first series with Edmonton and Kootenay. I think it go either way.
Hey buddy, thanks for doing this. Look forward to seeing you at the rink here during the playoffs.
Yeah, it's nice to be back and ready to go on a long run here.
Jared Waldo here for In the Corners. Now, one of the players who definitely wants to make the best of his postseason appearance this month is Brandon Underwood, because he won't be in the WHL next year. So that means we had a chance to sit down with Brandon Underwood and get his thoughts on his time with the Rebels and in the Western Hockey League. Well, we're here with the California kid, Brandon Underwood, who of course grew up in California and joined the Rebels as a 20-year-old earlier this season. Now, let's start there. As a youngster growing up in California, what was it that turned you on to the sport of hockey more than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's actually, he's Canadian. He's born in Vancouver and moved to Toronto when he was 10 and lived there for his adolescent life. So, I mean, he kind of just, we just watched hockey and played in my driveway, and I didn't really know it was weird to play hockey in California until I was about 8, and I realized no one else liked hockey besides me. So, yeah, it was definitely my dad, but that's how you see most people in California. Their parents are from back east, they're from New York, or they're from Canada or Michigan, so that's kind of how usually it starts.
So how long did it take for you to realize that not only did you like hockey, but that you were capable of playing it at a pretty elite level?
I mean, I kind of just started out, I'm from the San Diego, so I started down there, and then obviously there's not a lot of hockey, so I kind of outgrew that, and then most of the California hockey's in Los Angeles, so we started driving up to Los Angeles when I was 10, I think, and for 5 years I pretty much traveled 4 hours a day there and back just to practice and play. So, but I'd say it was around probably like Bantam when I started talking to scouts from college and the WHL that I realized maybe I could actually do something with it. So.
And it's pretty interesting to see, and we've noticed it in the Western Hockey League especially, the influx of Californian and Southwestern United States players coming up to play Major Junior. It's a growing trend now.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for us because, you know, in the OHL they have Michigan guys and New York guys, and those guys have the NCAA in their backyards. You know, they have the schools. We don't really, there's no NCAA hockey in California, so it's kind of, you know, once they learn about the WHL and what it has to offer with the scholarship program and, you know, the elite level of hockey up here, for me it was a no-brainer, especially with my dad being a Canadian, and he was all for it. And, you know, like I said, I got 5 years of school paid for now, and I can, you know, it's a pretty good deal. So I think once people realize what it is, they know they realize that if they can make it, it's something they want to do.
We'll talk more about school in a bit, but take us back a few years ago to the point where you made the jump from playing hockey in California to actually joining the Western Hockey League. Yeah,
I mean, I was 16. I ended up getting listed by Kamloops after the Bantam draft. I didn't really know too much about the draft. I didn't end up getting drafted, but they said they wanted me to come to camp when I was 15, and I didn't really. At that point, I still didn't really know that much about it, so I didn't go. And then when I was 16, my dad just convinced me to go, and I was like, all right, I'll go. So I was playing for the LA Junior Kings the year before up in Los Angeles, like I said, and went to camp. Was a listed player. Probably wasn't really expected to make it. I just had a really good camp, and they offered me a contract, and it was pretty hard to say no once I realized, you know, what it was all about. So being 16 and being able to be in that kind of environment was pretty cool, so I just jumped on it.
And then you were in the Kamloops organization, like you said, then some time in Regina, and then fairly early this season you were acquired by the Red Deer Rebels. What was your mindset at that time?
I mean, I knew going into the year, especially with the lockout, I knew it was a pretty special situation for 20-year-olds, and I think we had 6 or 7 going into the season, so I knew there was a chance I'd get moved, but I was kind of walking on eggshells there for about a couple of weeks, and finally I did end up getting traded. When I heard it was Red Deer, I couldn't be any happier. They really did me a favor because, you know, they liked me there and the coaches liked me, and they said they wanted to put me in a place that you know, would be good for my last year. And you know, it's been unreal. And you know, like I said, when I heard it was Red Deer, you know, just the organization and just the reputation it has here, I was really happy to come.
And it really has turned into a deal that's worked out well for both sides. The Rebels have a 20-year-old blue liner they can rely on as a tutor for their other guys, and you've come to a team where you've gotten plenty of ice time and in some great situations.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been great. I mean, I couldn't really pick a better spot to play for my last year. Just, it's so professional here, and the fans are unreal, and the support we get, and Red Deer's a great city, and I mean, hopefully we can make a playoff run here to end off right.
So what's it like working on this blue line with younger guys like Cale Detzel and Hayden Fleury, and even a guy like Devin Fafford, who kind of most closely resembles your style of play, the big tough guy in his own end? What's it like to work with those guys?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, I was that young guy a couple years ago, and you know, they all need to learn, and like I'm still learning too. But it's good to teach them stuff that, you know, I got taught when I was young, because I can look back right now and think of, you know, guys that were 20 when I was young telling me the same stuff. So it's fun, and they're really good kids, and they like to learn. Especially, you know, with Hayden, I've been paired with him all year, and we room together on the road. So I kind of I'm almost like his big brother, we say sometimes. So it's really fun, and you know, there's a lot of good upcoming young players on this team, and I think the future's really bright.
A couple of years ago, when you were the young guy learning, who were some of the 20s that helped you out?
I can think of a few. Ryan Funk was a D-man. He was in Saskatoon and Vancouver for a bit. California guy CJ Stretch. He was with the Blazers for 5 years. My captain when I was 16 was Scott Waz, and he was with the Medicine Hat Tigers for a bit, and then came to Kamloops. So just guys like that. I remember looking at them when I was 16. I was like, these guys are men. They have beards, and now I'm that guy. So it's weird how fast it goes by, but it's a cool experience, and to kind of come full circle, and especially being able to play for you know, 3 organizations. You know, some guys, you know, you obviously don't want to get traded a lot of times, but just to have that experience to play for 3 different teams and kind of experience different things, I'm really grateful for that.
So what's it like being part of a Red Deer Rebels organization that's so actively involved in the central Alberta community?
It's great. I mean, even today we did our last visit at the Annie L. Gates Elementary School, and I was sad leaving. I mean, we've been there a couple of times, and just the support we get is unreal. I mean, whether it's through social media or just anything, I mean, the city really cares about us, and the Rebels are really, you know, really tight in this community, and it's awesome to be a part of that.
So you mentioned that you've saved up and played long enough to rack up 5 years of education. Have you decided how you're going to spend that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about it too much. I've talked to a few schools and whatnot, like, you know, normally the 20-year-olds do, but I haven't really decided whether, you know, what options I'm going to take yet. I mean, kind of take it as I come, but, you know, if I use my schooling, that'd be, you know, I wouldn't be mad about that at all. I mean, to have 5 years of school paid for is, you know, it's a blessing. So we'll see what happens, but like I said, if that's what it comes to, I'll be more than happy.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for doing this. All the best throughout the rest of this season and moving forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Rebels overage defenseman Brandon Underwood. Time now for another installment of Train Like a Rebel, and for that we check in with Jack at 360 Fitness.
Hi everyone, Jack here from 360 Fitness Personal Training, and today on Train Like a Rebel we have 3 new resistance band exercises for you to do right in the comfort of your living room. So I want you to do 3 sets of 15 for each of these guys, and you get yourself a full body workout. The first one Brooke is doing is called a butt burner. So as it says in the name, it's great for your glutes, great for the outer thighs. Do 3 sets of 15. The second exercise we're going to go into is a front raise. Put the band underneath your feet, go up to about 90 degrees out in front of you, back down by your hips. Again, 3 sets of 15. The third exercise is going to be an overhead shoulder press. So keep the band underneath your feet, go over your head so your elbows are straight, back down to your ears, 3 sets of 15. There you go, full body workout in your living room.
Coming up after the break, we chat with Cam Moon, as we like to do from time to time, and we have notes from around the Western Hockey League. Southside Dodge Rebels This Week is presented by Southside Dodge Chrysler Jeep in Red Deer, Alberta. Welcome back to the show. Wouldn't be a good show if we didn't have Cam Moon on, and we do. How excited are you right now going back to the postseason as a broadcaster?
Can't wait. Absolutely love it. There's something about the playoffs. It's just everything gets ramped up. Doesn't matter if you're at your home rink, visiting rink, you name it. Everything just goes up a notch, and I can't wait for the playoffs here.
And especially, and we've touched on this before, especially with this group who had so much to go through last year and missed out on the postseason. And there's a group of older guys that we heard from during the show, guys like Tyson Ness, who still feel that 2 seasons ago this team should have done more than they did.
That's fair to say. I mean, the Rebels won that first round against the Edmonton Oil Kings 4 straight, played real well. Things were going swimmingly. I mean, they had it going in the right direction, and then all of a sudden the wheels came off against Medicine Hat. They lose in 5 games in that series, and it was tough. It was tough for that whole group because they felt they were a team that was good enough to get to that Eastern Conference Championship, and for things to end the way they did against that Medicine Hat team. Certainly those guys that have been here for 3 seasons, this being their 3rd season, we're all part of that, and they know that when you get the chance, you really have to take advantage of it. So Rebels are getting that opportunity again. They're getting the opportunity of having home ice in the first round. They need to take advantage.
So your thoughts on this team as they head into the postseason? A couple of tough losses to the Edmonton Oil Kings. On Saturday, they did rest some guys to make sure they were ready for the postseason. But how do you like this team as they get ready for the postseason?
Well, I think that, prior to the last weekend, and I think you can throw that one right out the window, not only for the Rebels, but for the Oil Kings, with guys out of the lineup and what have you. But the team had been playing pretty well prior to that. They take on a Prince Albert team that were able to squeak some points out against the Blades in the last weekend to stay in that 5th spot. But it's going to be a good test for Red Deer. There's no question about that. The top-end talent of the Prince Albert Raiders is extremely good. When you've got guys like Mark McNeil's a 1st-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks, and you've got Mike Winter, a 2nd-round pick of the Dallas Stars. You got Leon Draisaitl, who isn't even draft eligible this year, but played in the World Juniors for Germany. Those are top-end guys. Anthony Bardero's a 4-year guy in the WHL. There's a lot of scoring. And on the back end, Harrison Ruop is a very big physical defenseman, and Josh Morrissey's going to be a top 2-round guy for sure. So they've got a lot of top-end talent. Rebels have played well against them, though. All 4 games. They won the 2 games in Red Deer, and they won them fairly convincingly, I guess you could say. And they lost in a shootout, and they lost in overtime in Prince Albert in those 2 games. Great games that could have went either way. So from the entertainment standpoint, I absolutely love this series because I think both teams will play hard.
Similar makeups from top to bottom, solid goaltending, good all-around skating teams, and good coaching behind the bench. So it should be a lot of fun to watch. Absolutely. Let's expand the net a little bit and talk about the Eastern Conference. Edmonton Oil Kings, they get the Kootenay Ice in the first round. As good as the Ice have played since the holiday break, it's going to be a tough first round for them.
I think it will. And Kootenay's played well against Edmonton this year. They're 3-3 against the Oil Kings, which, you look at the standings, you wouldn't think that's the case, but it is. I still don't think they're going to win the series, though. My money is going to be on the Edmonton Oil Kings, a team that's back from a WHL championship. They returned most of that squad. They're deep in all 3 positions. There's just a lot there. I think the Oil Kings are going to win that series, and I think they'll do it in 5.
Saskatoon Blades have been the hottest team in the Eastern Conference in the last probably 2 months or so. They take on the Medicine Hat Tigers in the opening round.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Saskatoon being the Memorial Cup host. They really rounded into form though in the second half, and with their additions, and Michael Furland, one of those additions, a Calgary Flame draft pick. He was out of the lineup just before the end of the regular season. As I understand it, he should be good to go for the playoffs. I think the Blades are going to win that series. The Tigers are going to give them a pretty good go. Tigers been pretty good in the second half. A team that maybe early in the season, no one put a lot of stock in, but they really did. They've played well this season, but I think the Blades are going to win that one.
And another interesting series as it shapes up, the number 3 seed, the Calgary Hitmen, taking on the number 6 seed, the team that almost took on the Rebels here in the first round, the Swift Current Broncos.
Yeah, well, Calgary's going to take on a team that's been playing really well. And I think the danger in Swift Current is their netminder, Eetu Lorakainen, has been so good for them. And I think he's got the ability to steal a game or two. Calgary's a good team. Cody Sylvester's been unbelievable for him, 5-year guy, and their team captain. Their defense is big, they're physical. I like Calgary, but that one could be a long series. Lorakainen, he's tough to score on.
And an interesting note, Calgary had more points than Saskatoon when it came to the actual standing. So if the top 4 seeds happen to go through, then Calgary would jump up to that number 2 seed in their second round.
Yeah, that's right. So they would have, if the top 4 seeds did win, Calgary would have home ice in the second round against the Saskatoon Blades. So they kept their foot down all the way through so that they could have that advantage in the second round.
And of course, we're not going to make a prediction about the Rebels-Raiders series, but safe to say you and I both think it'll be a long one and a hard-fought one.
Well, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a great series. I think the atmosphere at the NMAX Centurion will be charged up because we haven't had the playoffs for a couple of seasons, and we've got tremendous fans. And I know at the Art Hauser Center in Prince Albert, it's always good. It's a great rink. They'll be jacked up too. So I think the atmospheres in both rinks will be great.
Quick thought on the Western Conference, Portland's thing to lose?
Oh, yeah. Portland's got so much. Kelowna's been unbelievable this year. If it was a Portland-Kelowna Western Conference final, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm sure Kamloops will try to have something to say about that. And that Spokane Tri-City series would be a lot of fun in the first round. The 4-5 matchup always is. But I think Portland's going to come out of that conference.
Can't wait to see how it turns out. Look forward to working with you on some playoff broadcasts here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Mooner. As always, now time for some more news and notes from around the Western Hockey League. 2 members of the Edmonton Oil Kings signed their NHL entry-level contracts last week. Keegan Lowe put pen on ink with the Carolina Hurricanes. He was their 3rd-round, 74th overall pick in the 2011 NHL entry draft. Forward Henrik Samuelsson signed his entry deal with the Phoenix Coyotes. He's a native of Scottsdale, Arizona, and was their 1st-round pick, 27th overall in 2012. The Portland Winterhawks set a new league record by earning their 29th road win of the season last Saturday. Their 6-5 shootout triumph over Seattle broke the previous record of 28 road wins set by both the 99-2000 Calgary Hitmen and the 08-09 Saskatoon Blades. The Winterhawks also set a new franchise record with 117 points on the season. Well, that about does it for this week's show. Our last 30-minute episode of the season. But don't fret, we've got some exciting things on the way for playoffs. We're going to have 2 5-minute segments airing each and every week. As long as the Rebels are still live, you can catch the new episode starting Monday and on Friday right here on Shaw TV. Check out our website, rebelsthisweek.com, for more details. Thanks for joining us once again. Good luck to the Rebels as they embark on their playoff run. And don't forget to tune in here on Shaw TV and on our website. Hit us up on Twitter too, @RebelsThisWeek. We'll see you next time.